Now, let us prepare our hearts and minds for a time of meditation. I invite you, find a comfortable position in your seats. Close your eyes if you wish, and take a few deep breaths. Let go of any distractions or worries that may be on your mind.
God before me, God behind me, to the left and the right. God above me, God below me, all around and inside. God before me, God behind me, to the left and the right. God above me, God below me, all around and inside. God before me, God behind me, to the left and the right. God above me, God below me, all around and inside.
Breathing in and breathing out now, beginning the focus on the breath, beginning the relaxation. It's time to settle in, for this is your time. This is your time to renew, to refresh, to let go, to pray, to know that God and I are one. Breathing in and breathing out. Taking in a nice deep breath now, deep, deep breath, and holding it for just a moment. And then slowly, slowly let it out, slowly let it out, and settle in, relax, let go, relax, let go. Breathing in and breathing out. The awareness of God within, God without, God above, God below. In the midst of this relaxation time, I allow myself to become very present to an awareness that God's love is deep within me, deep within me. That God and I are truly one. That no matter what is going on in this human experience, God is there. And in the midst of that, I know that no matter what is going on, I am safe, secure, I am peace. I am love. Breathing in and breathing out, allowing the body to completely relax. Completely relax to the point where you can feel the love of God flowing through your body now. God's love flows through me now. Flows through me from the top of my head to the tip of my toes. God's love pours through me. I am open. I am receptive. I desire God's love. Breathing in and breathing out. As the body relaxes and the mind settles into God's love, the thoughts begin to slow down. An awareness of our true divinity comes through. And that love is always there. So now I sit. Now I sit in the silence, in the midst of God's love. I am one with God. I am one with the love of God. God's love and I are one in the silence. Alexa, stop. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. God's love. God's love is deep within me. Deep within me. Taking in a nice deep breath now and holding it for a moment. And slowly exhaling. As we begin to come back to this present moment, we bring that back with us. That there's not one spot where God is not, that God's love is always present, ever present, that there is an abundance of that love, and that I am one with that love. Taking in one last deep breath now and holding it for a moment. And then on the exhale, slowly allowing the eyes to come open. And we say, thank you. Thank you, God. Amen.
It's not that unusual when everything is beautiful. It's just another ordinary miracle today. The sky knows when it's time to snow. Don't need to teach a seed to grow. It's just another ordinary miracle today. Life is like a gift, they say, wrapped up for you every day. Open up and find a way to give some of your own. Isn't it remarkable when every time a raindrop falls, it's just another ordinary miracle today? And birds in winter have their fling, but always make it home by spring. It's just another ordinary miracle today. When you wake up every day, please don't throw your dreams away. Hold them close to your heart, 'cause we are all a part of the ordinary miracle. Ordinary miracles. Do you want to see a miracle? It seems so exceptional that things just work out after all. It's just another ordinary miracle today. The sun comes up and shines so bright, then disappears again at night. It's just another ordinary miracle today. Ooh, it's just another ordinary miracle today.
David Trolley. Thank you, David. Thank you. Well, that was a positive song, wasn't it? Was it toxic? I don't know. Was it toxic? Well, we'll see. We'll talk about that. But you know, I just love that line. Life is like a gift, they say, wrapped up for you every day. You know, it's true. It's true, but sometimes that's very hard to remember, isn't it? Sometimes it's very hard to remember that we're in the midst of a gift called a human experience. And when things are happening that we don't want to be happening, when when thoughts and feelings come up that are hard, that we really don't want to be having, that emotions rise up, and or they rise up in others. And when they rise up in others, when feelings and things that don't feel so good come from others, we feel it too. And sometimes we receive it and be in the midst of it, and sometimes we don't want it. We just deny that it's even there. And I think it's good to remember that life is it's an ordinary miracle every moment, every day, and we have that opportunity. And when we have that opportunity to be positive or to be toxically positive. But more about that after I talk to you about a young monk who joined a quiet order in a remote monastery. He was permitted to speak only 2 words every 10 years. When the first 10 years had passed, he went to the abbot and said, "Food is bad." The abbot nodded, and at the 20-year mark, he went back to the abbot again and said, "Bed hard." And the abbot nodded. And when 30 years had gone by, the monk went to the abbot and said, "I quit." And the abbot responded, "Well, I'm not surprised. You've been complaining since you got here." And so then there was this mother who was shaking her son, saying, "Come on, wake up, come on, get up. It's time to go to church." And the son says, "Oh, I don't want to go. I don't want to." "Come on," the mother says, "up, up. We can't be late." And there's the son, "Oh, gee, I'm going to miss the football game. Nobody there really likes me a whole lot. And the sermon, it's always so long and boring." And the mother says, "Son, all of that notwithstanding, you are the pastor and people are counting on you to be there." Thank you. Steve Chicato gave me an applause. Thank you. Thank you. And can I have one more this morning, and then we'll get into this toxic positivity thing? Just one more, okay? So, on a bus, this priest sat next to a drunk who was struggling to read a newspaper. And suddenly, with a slurred voice, drunk Harry asked the priest, "Do you know what arthritis is?" And the parish priest thought of taking the opportunity to lecture the drunk and replied this way: "It's a disease caused by sinful and unruly life. Excess consumption of alcohol, drugs, marijuana, crack, and certainly lost women, prostitutes, promiscuity, sex, binges, and other things I dare not say." Drunk Harry's eyes got wide, and he shut right up and continued reading the newspaper. Well, after a few moments, the priest began thinking he'd been a little hard on drunk Harry. And so he tried to soften things and said, "How long have you had arthritis?" And Harry says, "Oh, I don't have arthritis. It says here in the paper that the Pope has it." Okay, enough of that. So, I was on Facebook yesterday, and I came across a post from my friend Julia Kellogg. I've known Julia Kellogg for 25 years now. Julia Kellogg runs the bookstore at Unity of Phoenix. It's a large bookstore. She's got everything you could want in there. She should have the Grief and Happiness cards by Emily Thoreau Thread in that bookstore. We should make that happen. But Julia is just a great person, and she's got this dry sense of humor, and I love her posts on Facebook because they're sort of, as Bob, they're oxymorons in a way, as Bob said about my talk title today. And Julia put a post up yesterday that said, "We're all just doing the best we can." Is my response to literally anything right now. We're all just doing the best we can is my response to literally anything right now. Whether you tell me you chugged a box of wine, took a 6-hour midday nap, set up Christmas decorations in May, robbed a bank, or gave yourself bangs, I'm going to say we're all just doing the best we can. And that's such good advice for what we're the world today and everything that's going on. We're all just doing the best we can. And some might say that, well, that's not positive enough. Or someone might even say that, oh, that's a negative way to say it. We're all just doing the best we can. But in reality, it's a great thing to say because it's neutral, it's balanced, it's saying no, everything's not okay, but yes, things are going to be okay, and really they are okay, but we can't be there all the time. I'm just doing the best I can. And so, it's my talk title, Toxic Positivity. It's rather an unusual one for a unity church. I mean, we're positive, practical spirituality, positive, practical Christianity. Let's put a positive twist on it. And it's so easy to get confused in New Thought, in unity with our affirmative prayer and our positive thinking, our positive reframing. But to do that without acknowledging the emotion, without acknowledging the feeling, can really lead to shame or guilt or avoidance, and it can prevent growth by denying that feeling, by denying that emotion. We're really not doing ourselves any favors, and really being new thoughters. What we should be doing, instead of denying the feelings that we feel, the emotions that we're feeling, or the feelings and emotions that others present themselves with, we should be using denials correctly. We should be using we should be denying power to those thoughts that we don't want, that even though they come, we don't want to give them any power. And we shouldn't be denying power to our emotions and our feelings. Because if you really stop and think about it, they're an ordinary miracle, that they're really a gift within this human experience, that we have emotions and feelings. And sometimes they're not the most pleasant. And sometimes we don't know what to do with them. And sometimes people bring them to us and we're there, oh, why are you bringing that to me right now? I don't even want to acknowledge that in myself, let alone in you. It's my fun thing to think about when I think of positive or toxic positivity and thinking about New Thought is our fabulous gift, one of the 12 powers. Oh, it's divine order. It's divine order. Everything's divine order. I remember maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I was at the kitchen sink and I was filling up my Brita pitcher, and the phone rang, and I set the Brita pitcher down and went and got the phone and was going to come back in to the Brita pitcher and finish what I was doing. Well, I picked up the phone, but I didn't come back into the kitchen. I talked on the phone and had a conversation. And as soon as I was done with the phone call, I got undressed and got in the shower. And the next thing I know, I can hear pounding at my front door. And I got a towel wrapped around me, and it's the neighbor downstairs saying, "You're flooding my apartment. You're flooding my apartment." And I'm there, no, I'm not. And I looked over to the kitchen, and I was flooding her apartment. I had set the Brita pitcher down on the drain, and it had filled up and ran over the sink. Well, I mean, that was upsetting, and there was a lot to do about that. And I remember talking to a colleague on the phone and saying what had happened and feeling exasperated. And she said, "Well, divine order. I'm sure something good is going to come from it." And I'm like, divine order? Show me where the divine order is in that. divine order, that really makes me feel better. Thanks for your help. You've been there, haven't you? And so Becky Garrison, who's a storyteller and a satirist based in Portland, says to us that maintaining a positive outlook can help you stay sane during a crisis. However, it's very easy to become so focused on staying positive that you end up denying any and all negative experiences that are part of the universal human experience. Let me just say that one more time, that it becomes so easy, so focused, you become so focused on staying positive that you end up denying any and all negative experiences that are part of the universal human experiences, that are part of the gift, that are part of the ordinary miracle. And it becomes toxic positivity. Instead of sitting with them, instead of being with them, instead of acknowledging them, we deny them. I do a lot of grief counseling, and I see that in our grief processing. We're afraid to talk about grief. We're afraid to grieve. No one ever sat us down and said, well, in the midst of your human experience, there's going to be grieving that's going to happen. There are going to things that will start a grieving process, and you're going to have feelings and emotions. And so a lot of us, when that happens, we'll push it away. I remember when my father died and I was sitting with my mother and I started to cry. She turned to me and said, no, don't cry, no crying, no tears. And so I got up. I said, okay, sat with her for a minute. I got up and I went out of the house and went around the corner and cried because I needed to cry. But that was my mom's response, that we didn't do that. We didn't, it wasn't part of the way we did things in my home. We were afraid to let that out. And so that, don't cry. You're going to be okay. You don't need to cry. She's trying to be helpful to both her and I. No, let's not go there. I don't want to feel that. I don't want you to feel it. I don't want you to hurt. I don't want to hurt. And it's that we are calling toxic positivity. It's when when I talk about denying power, I'm not saying turn and deny the emotion and the feeling. I mean, we have to let that feeling and that emotion come up and be with it and sit with it. It's like in grief. We have to be with our grief and sit with our grief and move through our grief. But it becomes problematic or toxic, maybe even, when we stay in that grief and we stay and we continue to deny and we continue to not allow ourselves to go through the process. So when these things that we can be toxically positive about come up and we don't allow ourselves to at least move through them, to process them, when we just deny them, it really is not good for us. Anna Silva defines toxic positivity as the excessive and ineffective overgeneralizations of a happy and optimistic state at the expense of negative emotions and states that are a part of our genuine human emotional experience. She goes on to say that when an individual is exhibiting toxic positivity, they deny negative experiences, be it in themselves or in other people. The toxic positivity can be manifested both inwardly and outwardly, depending on our individual personalities. That if we tend to internalize feelings, We can often feel guilty for feeling a negative emotion like anger or sadness. Have you ever done that? Have you ever felt guilty for being angry or for being sad? And so that guilt comes on. What do then? You hide behind a mask. You mask those feelings, and you be something that you're not. You just deny who you really are and what you're really feeling. And you're dismissing yourself. And then if you're the kind of person that tends to project their feelings onto others, you may easily minimize others' negative feelings by telling them to focus solely on the positive. Well, I know you're upset about losing your job, but get over it. You'll get another job. Well, that's really helpful. Yeah, I got fired 3 hours ago, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm telling you this, and you say, it'll be all right. Get over yourself, you know? Uh, uh, so we project our fears, our feelings onto others. You know, there's so many examples of this toxic positivity that when we just don't want to accept negative emotion and experience it ourselves or let others experience it. For example, someone asks you ask someone why they're crying, and they might respond with, I'm fine. I just got something in my eye. I've done that. No, I'm okay. I got something in my eye. And really, I'm just hurting like hell inside. It's just, but I don't want to go there. I don't want to allow myself to be what and who I'm really feeling at that moment. And another example of toxic positivity, boy, that's not the easiest thing to say, is it? Toxic positivity is when a friend is visibly crying and the toxic positivist either ignores them or says something like, cheer up. Yeah, you're sitting there crying. Well, cheer up. What are some signs of toxic positivity? Well, they say that if you're experiencing guilt for being sad or angry, you're probably moving into toxic positivity. You're going to respond with toxic positivity. If you're reacting positive quotes about a hard situations, you know, positive quotes, unity quotes, divine order, I affirm that, you know, this and that. If you're reciting positive quotes, then you're probably showing signs of toxic positivity. If you're hiding painful emotions and you know it, you're probably moving into toxic positivity. And here's one that's really good. If you're ignoring your problems, if you're ignoring them, you don't want to face your problems, you're in the midst of toxic positivity. They're not there. I'm going to stay over here, moving through life as if they're not really there. I'm not going to face that. I'm just not going to deal with it. It's going to be evident in the way I present myself to others. There's so many ways that we can reframe toxic positivity. And that's really the point I want to make today with you, is that we realize when we're being positively toxic. We do. And so when we realize it, we can reframe it. For example, instead of saying, just keep smiling, something, you're hearing a story and you say, just keep smiling. Try. It's okay to be upset and even cry. It only makes you more human. That feels good, doesn't it? It only makes me more human. It's okay to feel the way I'm feeling. It's so much better than keep smiling. And here's the old proverbial, everything happens for a reason. Oh, yes, everything happens for a reason. It's okay to feel bad sometimes. And it is. It's okay to feel bad sometimes because it's real. We do. It could be worse. Now, there's a helpful one, isn't it? It could be worse. Uh-huh. Oh, the car broke down and the blah, 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 blah. It could be worse. Could it? Who wants it to be worse? But you could say, instead of it could be worse, sometimes we experience bad things. How can I support you? Oh my. I'm here to be with you, whoever you are. And God's love is deep within us. In the midst of that emotion, in the midst of that feeling that we really don't want to let surface, if we can remember that God's love is deep within us and that it's all part of this gift that God has given us, life is going to feel so much better for you and for the people you're interacting with. So remember, you do got to accentuate the positive, and you do got to eliminate the negative. And I still say latch on to the affirmative. And even before you're going to mess with Mr. In Between, go ahead, but don't be toxically positive. Thank you. Have a nice week.